Hello everybody and welcome back to Dragon Age Veilguard. There's a lot happening right now, and so I think I'm going to attempt like a lot just happened. Freaking met the Inquisitor. I'm all a fluster. You know, but like okay, I'm going to try. How many of these are there? Multiple of these? Just right here. Okay, yeah, I am going to attempt to view the regret first before anything else. It's bringing the paintings back. I wondered if those would come back at all.
You cannot do this, Algernon. You swore that we would give up our commands when this horrific war was over.
Our people need our leadership. If you're unwilling, leave.
Our people must rebuild,
Mythal.
and we must help unite them.
So, we did not fight for freedom, but to conquer this land and our own.
We fought to win, and now the Evanuris are as gods. I do not answer to Mythal's annoying lapdog.
The people are afraid. They must believe in something.
They need strength.
And wisdom.
They need gods who can protect them.
We are not gods. You will learn that.
Every lapdog hides a wolf inside.
This is where. Oh my gosh, this is where the title started.
That was strange. They were speaking Elven, but I understood it.
I believe we have experienced a memory in each of our native languages.
Not just any memory. One of the Dreadwolves.
And the mages who declared themselves my gods, well, mine and Davrin's, and Rook's.
Thanks, yeah. I mean, I think we'd be having a little bit of a crisis of faith. I think she really did, like, despite, I mean, she's a Mournwatch, right? But, like, it was because she felt a tie to, like, the Falandin and to the ideology of Falandin that she really went through with the Mournwatch stuff. And so, this would be hard for her, right? Like, this is, like, to learn that the thing that you dedicated your life to in some way was a bit of a lie would be incredibly difficult. And oh my gosh, because I was wondering, because I think I pointed it out at one point, I'm like, well, the paintings haven't, I'm like, are they improving slightly? Like, are they gonna come back? But they are the memories. And oh my gosh, his I'm gonna keep calling it appellation unless I figure out that it's wrong, but like the Dreadwolf appellation potentially came from him being like a derogatory thing, like a lapdog to Mythal, right? My gosh. So he was set in one of his titles was second to Mythal. And he must have been a spirit brought over to like help her with this war. And I think she's like, she doesn't necessarily want to be a god, not like Elgernon, but she wants to temper him because he is a god of vengeance and of war, and she's like trying to be wisdom and justice, you know what I mean? So I think she probably is just trying to balance him out there. And I wonder if there's like a love triangle thing going on here. Or like Elgernon I don't think could experience love. I think he probably felt, if anything, possessive towards Mythal, you know? And then betrayed if her and Solus had at least some deeper connection, even if it wasn't like love in this like physical sense. Oh my gosh. Wow. Okay. I was worried. I was like, is this gonna be when Mythal is like sacrificed? But it's not. It was the very beginning when they were forming, when they were deciding to call themselves gods after whatever war that they did. Wow, this is just crazy.
There they are, the Elven creators. I used to be jealous of the Dalish elves, because they got to learn all these stories I only barely knew. Now I get to see the truth of it. And it turns out, the truth is awful.
I like that detail.
Awful is an understatement. I wish they were monsters. Something grand and terrible. Seeing them like that, they're no better than Tevinter nobles.
But no worse, either. They were people.
People can let you down.
No, worse.
All right.
Their power...
What else can we take from this memory?
No.
Elgranon was hungry for power. Did anything he could to get it, and to hold on to it.
Then Solus, furious at Elganon's installing himself as a despot, started his rebellion.
There's another moving part in this. Mythal. She was keeping the peace.
Mythal and Solus were close. The Inquisition found a temple to Mythal, and there were wolf statues everywhere.
Yeah.
Then she sides with Elgranon over him. A betrayal.
Oh, the betrayal of Mythal, maybe. Does he kill Mythal? Like, not on purpose, but like the Solus, like, sort of in like a fit of like, you know, not like, I don't know, like, you know, like when there's like something goes down. No, he says specifically that they killed her, unless he blames them for him having to kill her. I don't know. Anyway, I think they did it, but like, no, it's like, oh, they were no worse than people. They could let you down. Like, they had significantly more power. Yes, any despot is just a person, but like they have so much power at their disposal that they are like unto a god in some cases. You know, especially in this case when they're mages. You know what I mean? So it's like, no. The scale is much larger. You know, but it is good to know, like, okay, there is fallacy, there is weakness, or that you wouldn't necessarily expect from at least certain types of divinities, right? I mean, like, usually you look at pantheons and they're pretty flawed, but then you have like not monogamous gods, but like mono deity. Why can't I remember the name for it? But yes, one, and they tend to be like all-knowing, all-powerful, kind, and also exacting. You know. A combination of everything, right? Sort of, but like they tend to be balanced and aren't necessarily like, at least that's the hope, right? Then you get certain stories and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, but like, anyway, wow. I mean, I do, okay, what would Rook say? Because I do see Mythal's reasons, but it's also like, well, no wonder he was angry, you know, but I don't want to fall into the trap of being too sympathetic to Solus, because I am very biased. I think, yeah, because my first thought when I saw that was, I see what she's trying to do, I think she's trying to be a peacemaker of sorts, right? Like, she's trying to temper things, trying to balance things.
I think I get where Mythal is coming from.
Okay.
Really?
We've just finished some big war, everyone is exhausted, and now Elganon won't give up power? If Mythal sided with Solus, would Elganon have backed down?
Not a chance.
It would have led to another war. Mythal tried to keep the peace.
Yeah.
And Solus must see that, but still can't accept that she chose peaceful politics over his ideals.
Perhaps these murals aren't simply memories. They're what Solus wishes to forget.
Oh.
His regrets. That means they're a way to learn his weak points.
His weak points are...
Why are we worried about Solus?
Yeah, I was...
He's trapped.
Right. But the Dread Wolf was the god of trickery. He's looking for a way out. Bet on it.
Well, yeah.
Meanwhile, keep your eyes open in the crossroads. If there's a way to restore the rest of these murals, Solus would have kept it in his hideaway. It'd be nice to get inside his head for a change.
Nah. Why am I so far away? I don't like that. Everyone was like over there. And I am over here. And I am sad. Oh. Just Balara? I thought maybe there would be a few. She was close to leveling up, though. Oh, I forgot to go talk to Varric! Gosh dang it, I forgot to talk to Varric before doing this. Oh, wait, I think I can still probably do it. Also, why wasn't Varric down here for this? A letter to Dorian. Sparkler. Thanks for the book recommendations. The library and the Viscount's Keep could use a little more class. Kirkwall has been calmer since I got back from my trip to see old friends in Orlais. The end of the Inquisition flooded the free marches with able-bodied ex-soldiers looking for work in warmer weather. Suddenly I have more hands than I have crap to fix or things to fight. It's a good problem to have. Of course, a third of them still secretly work for Charter, but I'll put up with it. Some of the spies are better craftsmen than the craftsmen. Liliana did always have an eye for talent. Give May my love, would you? It'll be a while before I can make a trip to Minrathous again, and she's the only family I've got left that I'm still speaking to. I forgot that Varric was like, I think, well, it was like his relative that May was related, or he's related to the man that May was married to. Why was that so hard to get out? Anyway, why did I just get that now? I hope Dorian's fine. it upsets me that like Dorian couldn't be the one to be like, oh, look who I brought, you know, because you can have a good relationship or a bad relationship with Dorian, and the world state doesn't know. But I'm just gonna. It's fine. It was really good to see her, and it was really good to see Dorian, of course, too. I'm so thrilled. I really am. I thought it was gonna be like end game only, and I was like, oh dang, you know. But I don't mean maybe we can see her a few more times, you know, like throughout the game, where she can pop in and out, especially with the Alluvians. Like it's not like she has to ride like a month to get out here, you know. Okay, Varric. Meow. View a memory in the lighthouse. Yeah, I've got more memories. Hang on, I gotta do this first though.
I know you can handle this. Trust yourself and trust the team.
Okay, we're doing generic lines right now. That's fine. But because I kind of technically left and came back, people are having communiques. I wonder, you know what I bet? Because I have 3 memories now. I had the 2 that I've been holding on to, and I have that one that the Inquisitor just gave me. I bet you it will open up this door. In Emmerich's room.
Woo. Pleased to be working with you, Scout Harding.
Just call me Harding. Should I call you Professor Volkarin?
Oh no, Emmerich will do. This doesn't seem a group to insist on formality.
I'm surprised some of us still wear pants.
Yeah. I mean, Davrin's walking around in what looks like, it looks like he's barefooted, but he's just wearing boots and like a pajama shirt. Oh, it's gonna be the mural down at the top of the stairs. I'm going to cry. It's fine. I don't know. If it's not like a full-fledged memory, I might not. If it's just like the memory we just saw. Oh, shoot. Wait, do it. Also, no, I mean, Devin made a comment that I'm like the boss, and like now I'm like, oh, is it inappropriate for me to be flirting with people? You know?
I heard you almost had a demon outbreak in Minrathous.
Almost.
Way I hear it, the city sleeps better for you in it.
Maybe. But the Venatori don't sleep.
Maybe I should give it a go hunting them instead.
No shortage of work there.
They would be good together. You see this? I don't know what I did not know that this was an image that I appreciated. Just a man with his pecs out, but not like shirtless, because that's like too much. It's like, okay, have some class, you know. But the boob window. Listen, where's Thane? My Thane plushie's over there, and the statue is in storage. But like, Thane had a boob window, and apparently that's a thing I enjoy on men. And so, but the carving, just like sitting and like he looks so relaxed like this. Otherwise, he doesn't look relaxed. Like, I mean, not like tense, but this just looks so calm and like peaceful and like centered. And I'm like, I appreciate that in a person, you know. I don't know, man. I was thinking I was gonna go for Lucanus when I started this game, but Davrin is the one I was eyeing from the start. Like from the very first early promotional material.
Rook, good to see you.
Can we all, like, again, we need to have more of a mental breakdown on this thing. And it's odd. I'm trying to still kind of figure out my character, right? Where she's like, I'm jealous that of the Dalish who got to grow up with those stories that I only barely knew. And so, again, I do think that still fits in my headcanon of, like, she went, like, when she was, like, a foolhardy youth, potentially, she went out and, you know, stayed with the Dalish clan and learned and like got the Valasleen, right, and then went back to the Mornwatch. Like, not necessarily like my first headcanon, right, was that she kind of grew up feeling like she had this connection, but like I don't mind shifting it, right? I don't mind that, like, oh, it's like maybe, you know, she's found as a baby, which is like, and again, maybe even the Dalish, when they'd hear this tale, would be like, you are obviously a friend of the dead, like you are bound to Falindin, it is obvious, you know what I mean? Yes. See, the headcanon evolves. It evolves.
This is quite the treasure hoard.
Is it?
Is it true that crows are forbidden to take gold unless it's to kill someone?
No. We need gold to pay for things.
To pay for things. But like, where would you get gold otherwise? I guess like looting? It doesn't really seem like a treasure hoard. She's got a lot of things in boxes. And she's got some armament, you know? I guess she's got some silver bars. But I didn't check. I keep meaning to check if this is the one that was in Davrin's room or not. It is so funny that she has, like, so many questions about the crows. But it is funny in context knowing that her mother used them as a boogeyman for her. And yeah, I think it was a good point, sorry, to go back to that. The, Tamasran comparison, because well, her mother wasn't a Tamasran, but, like, she would have been raised by Tamasrans who were teachers and parental figures, but more like I think they were supposed to be a bit more like, I don't know. They're basically a parent. It just depends on the kind of parent you have, I guess. But anyway. Uh-oh. Oh, is this going to be one I have to watch?
I was not certain you would come.
You were the one who walked away. I never turn my back when my friend needs me.
The Evanurists seek the magic of the Blight.
Impossible. The Blight is safely sealed away forever.
Oh, I wish I could believe you. I have sensed the breaking of the wards.
I will investigate your claims. If they forget the danger of the Blight, I will endeavor to remind them.
What if, instead, you left the Evanurists and remained with me? Do you not wish for freedom from this struggle?
Be at peace, love. I will stop them.
Oh my gosh!
As you must. The Blight is our mistake.
So he does. They do. Oh, were they in love? Oh my gosh.
Did Mythal call Solus love in that memory?
Let's do that.
That's what it sounded like.
So they were doing it.
The elven gods were free with their emotions. They felt things deeply. The way they express things, well, it feels romantic to us.
How do
but
you know?
That wasn't really how it was. Back then, I mean.
Nah, they were doing it.
Tosh, the general expert on people having relationships, for sure. Yeah, I don't know. God, what do I think? To me, it has seemed more like a friendship. Again, I could be being super biased because of, like, my Inquisitor. But, like, obviously people can have relationships before they, you know, meet somebody new, right? You know, like, there's zero problems with that. But I have always gotten more of the impression that they were, like, soulmates in a we understand each other deeply sort of a way. But I'm like, ooh, would they be lovers? Because Solus did make that comment that you wouldn't be the first to do, like, terrible things for love or whatever. And again, it's like love, and even at that time, I was like, it could have been, you know, a very deep love, like, between Gillenon and Andruil of, like, a physical and emotional, mental love or whatever, or it could be, like, a deep friendship love, even a sibling sort of a feeling love, you know what I mean? So it's like, I'm torn. Why do I have to make this decision? I think maybe is probably the best one, but I kind of want to be like, oh my gosh, what do we think, guys? You know? But it's like, she's like, maybe, moving on. And I'm like, yeah, I think I will leave it. For now, I'll leave it open to interpretation, or should I just pick a side, you know? And I think what Bellara said is fair, right? That the gods felt things deeply, that the people back then felt things extremely deeply, especially if there was, like, more to them than what we are currently, where we are kind of split from, like, the spiritual side of things, you know? Where it's like, maybe there was a deeper understanding than what anybody nowadays could facilitate, you know? But Bellara is like, I'm the Dalish Elf resident expert, and I'm like, well, where's your sources? You know, did Gisharol say that? Like, who said that love? It almost sounds like one of those things where it's like, and then they were like, you know, and they were best friends, and it's like two, you know, couples in history, two people of usually the same gender in history that are like, they wrote love letters to each other, but it was for their deep and abiding friendship, and it was like they were gay, Sharon. You know what I mean? To be fair, there is, I do think, I guess if you look at it like that, in like the 1800s, 1700s, even maybe further back, like people were potentially more expressive in like expressing, like even between like, you know, same gender, there was no like, there was not no, but it was like more acceptable to be like, my friend, I love you and I miss you, you know what I mean? And to not have people be like, oh my gosh, you know, but at the same time, it's like, you know. You know what? I do also seem to go for, not necessarily, maybe, but like my two favorite, hang on. Okay, do you guys not love that I start like 3 different thoughts in one sentence and then don't finish them? Or I do, but it's like weird. Anyway, I was going to say, I tend to have a history, potentially, of falling in love with video game men, specifically, that have a past lover of some sort that was like a tragic romance of some sort. I say that because of this guy, Thane. Also, there's this boob window. You can't really see it, but there's the boob window. Thane had a wife and child before he even met Shepard, right? And I think it would track then, and I was going to say that I was like, my 2 favorite romances have this like deep, like potential like romantic history, right? Because these 2 are my favorite. Beep. I don't know where the camera is. These 2 are my favorite like romances that I've ever done in any game ever, you know? And so it would be fitting to have this one match this one, where there is like, and there's something about it where it's like, it's nice to think that like the characters that you fall in love with, I think, or even in real life, right, where it's like they have a life like prior, you know. I'm so distracted by like the hair particles in like, or like, I don't know, my screen doing weird things with particles. Anyway, not sure what that's about, but I think I like the idea of falling in love with somebody that has had a life prior to you, right? Because I think, again, that makes it so that it's easier for you, for your character, to have had a life prior, you know what I mean? And have like a lot of, like if I'm reading, like I don't generally like romance novels, like it's not usually my thing, but there are some written by T. Kingfisher where they're called, like Paladin's Grace is the first one. And it is so good because, for one thing, the characters are like in their 30s and like early 40s, and I appreciate that as a mid 30-year-old, you know what I mean? And I like that the story is like, it picks up sort of where they're like, they're in a point in their life where they're like, here's this life I've had, and like I either loved it or hated it, or it was like, you know, complicated. Usually it's just mostly complicated. It's like there was good and there was bad, and I've learned from it, and here's where I am now, and here's where I can go forward, you know what I mean? And I like stories like that where it's like, oh, your life doesn't end when you're 25 and all of a sudden you're written out of all the young adult books, you know what I mean? And like the chance for like a life change doesn't go away either, you know what I mean? It can come at any age, you know? And so I appreciate that about T. Kingfisher's books, specifically those ones, the Paladin series. And it's funny because like they'll like, her sense of humor is funny too, right? Because it's like, you know, oh, my back hurts, but you know, I'm not as good as I once was, but I'm as good once as I ever was, type thing, you know, like that kind of a thing, where it's like, yeah, you know, I got some aches and pains now, but it also doesn't be like, oh, I hate getting old. It's just like, oh, yep, and there it goes. You know what I mean? Like, that's just a part of life, you know? It's just a part of living. And these aches and pains remind me that I'm alive and I'm still able to do some kick butt things, you know what I mean? And it's just my back might hurt later, you know? Because they're like fighting, you know, golems and stuff, you know, they're doing really cool, fun things in the books. They're not strictly romance, like in the sense of like there's no plot, head empty, just spice, you know what I mean? Like the plots are fun. She wrote like an anecdote, or not an like an epilogue or like a prologue or something, and it was like, I've been told that romance books generally have less heads being bitten off. She's like, I'll look into that in the future or something, you know what I mean? So like there's plenty going on, but like, yeah. Anyway, this was a super long thing that I don't know how long I'm going to hold these 2 up in front of me, for instance, but I also don't know how much of this is going to stay in the video. But, so yeah, I think if I go with that trend of me appreciating that, like, you know, even these characters in these books I really like they've had previous relationships that either did or didn't work out, or like, you know, most likely didn't work out, but either didn't work out, just, you know, they went their separate ways, or they went back, I don't know. Regardless, I don't even know if this is going to have any input on whether or not Solus and Mythal were actually in love, but like, I'm gonna go for it right now that he had a life and a love prior to this, and like, it doesn't negate. I think it's the same thing with Thane, right? It doesn't negate that like once that went away, like once that was done, whether it be heartbreak or loss or just moving apart, like. Doesn't change the fact that you can still find something new, and that would potentially surprise Solus even more, honestly, to fall in love in Inquisition if he thought his heart was cold after losing Mythal. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go with that. Anyway, I didn't need that whole super long explanation, but it's kind of good for myself too. I guess the yes option too is a little bit like, you know, tee apparently, like, you know, it's like yeah, like being gossipy.
Oh, you're absolutely doing it.
Someone you're rebelling against? Doesn't sound like Solus.
He also met her in secret and talked about how they could run off together.
Yeah.
It sounded so tragic and romantic.
I love it!
Wait. Never mind. That does sound like him.
So the Dread Wolf goes to Mythal. They might be fighting, but they have history.
Yes.
And he warns her about the other god using the Blight. That's more important than his rebellion. It's like kingdoms coming together when an archdemon rises.
That makes
Mythal
sense.
didn't think it was possible. She said the Blight was sealed away. There's an old legend about it. Davrin, the one with Andrul's armor. Not sure it matters.
I like that she's talking to him about it too, right? Where it's there's like shared experiences here. Like she knows he grew up Dalish, right? Yeah.
We're deep in elven lore already. What's the legend say?
Right. Well, Andrul was the goddess of the hunt.
This is that
She
one I was
put on
telling you
armor,
about.
Magic armor made of something called the Void. Drove
I
him
told
out.
you guys.
I remember this one. The other gods were afraid Andrul would turn on them.
Yeah.
She was doing all kinds of horrible things, causing plagues. It does sound like the Blight.
Well, it all ends with Mythal fighting Andrul. After, Mythal turned into a dragon.
She what? Why didn't you start with that?
Anyway, she took Andrul's armor away. Then Andrul's madness left, and peace returned.
I gotta find that entry.
Intriguing. So it's possible Andrul stumbled onto the magic of the Blight.
And when Andrul went mad, Mythal took it from her and locked it away.
Until someone started using it again.
Why would he feel guilty? He was worried.
The Blight's one of the only things that really scares Solus. He came to Mythal afraid.
And she took it seriously too.
So Mythal goes off to investigate what Solus says. Then, what? It's too clean.
She
Seems
dies
plenty messy with
because
them
of
doing
that.
it.
But this isn't just a memory. It's something Solus wanted to hide. What's the crime? What did we see here that he feels guilty about?
I think I might know. When the Inquisitor was saving the world from the breach, she met Mythal.
What? Like in a dream?
It was complicated. She helped the Inquisition. There was a magic pond and a dragon.
You're gonna bring that up?
The point is, she also
Nice.
said the other elven gods betrayed her, killed her.
Yay! Yeah, you're gonna bring up the pool and not the fact that maybe the Inquisitor can speak ancient Elven and like, if she drank from the pool of sorrows, you know, or not.
Okay, sorry, point of order. If they killed Mythal, how was she still around to help the Inquisition?
Rook, as a fellow watcher, you know there are ways.
Oh, yes,
I'm not
teacher.
saying she couldn't help from beyond the grave. I'm just asking how.
Okay, good, because I
Elven
was worried.
god magic? She'd spent centuries gathering strength and sharing people's bodies, I think.
If it was a truly benign possession, that speaks to her character.
As far as I can tell, it was because Mythal only possessed women who had been wronged, like greatly wronged, and who wanted vengeance. if my Andraste theory is correct, Andraste was wronged, you know, by becoming a slave, or maybe there's more to the story. And then Flemeth definitely, hang on, I'm Laura side. We're going to do a Laura side here. Wait a second. I'm looking at this and it says Andril's messenger was the owl? I thought Dirthamin was the owl. Have I been, like, incorrect this entire time? Always keep an eye out for the noble owl. You never know, Andril might have a message for you. That would explain more why the statues are around, why the owl statues are around. I could have, I'm going to have to double check on that, but I'm looking for something else. Interesting. This Valisline I've got on, I've been curious because it's tree-like, right? Like, it distinctly looks like a possessed kind of tree. And there's the constellation Fervenal, which is commonly referred to as the oak. This is what you could do with the Astrariums and Inquisition. It's generally represented as a towering tree with leafless branches. Many scholars believe this is a representation of nature that harkens back to the lore of the early Neromenians, who I think were the pre-Tevinter people, who beliefs largely align with animism prior to the rise of the old god worship, and the creation of the Tevinter Imperium. Others, however, believe Faravanus was originally a constellation of the Elven people. Again, this is what I was saying before, right? That the constellations have been, or I was having a conversation with somebody about this, but like recently, but like that we have these constellations that describe gods and are potentially associated with god-like stories. The most accepted ones are Tevinter interpretations because they were the earliest human civilization, and that's the one that's ruling right now, technically. But they do say that they were originally elven ones, potentially, that had been supplanted by human ones. The original constellation was of the elven people, specifically a depiction of Andril, goddess of the hunt. Vir Tanadel, or Way of the Three Trees, is a central tenet of Andril, and some think that Faravanus originally represented this concept. That would, like, and I have, because she's like the Way of Three Trees, and like she's got like three other, like, she's got three different things that she will like talk about, like three different paths of life essentially, and it would make more sense for this to be an Andril one, but the one we've always associated with Andril is the huntress one with the bow. So this is interesting. Yes, here it is. Okay, here's the entry I've been looking for. Sorry, I'm looking at the mic again, but at least it's close enough to the camera. Elven god Andril, and this is from the Temple of Mythal in the Arbor Wilds. One day, Andril grew tired of hunting mortal men and beasts. She began stalking the Forgotten Ones, wicked things that thrive in the abyss. Yet even a god should not linger there, and each time she entered the void, Andril suffered longer and longer periods of madness after returning. Andril put on an armor made of the void, and all forgot her true face. I wonder if June made that for her, because June's the creator god. And apparently the Forgotten Ones lived in the void. I did not realize that. All forgot her true face. She made weapons of darkness, and plague ate her lands. She howled things meant to be forgotten, and the other gods became fearful. Andril would hunt them in turn. So Mythal spread rumors of a monstrous creature and took the form of a great serpent, waiting for Andril at the base of... Is that where the Tevinter Imperium, the serpent intertwined with potentially a dragon snake looking thing? Is that where that comes from? And is that why we've been seeing giant serpents in freaking... In some of the elven ruins, we've been seeing giant serpent statues. She waited for Andril at the base of a mountain. When Andril came, Mythal sprang on the hunter. They fought for 3 days and 3 nights, and Andril was slashing deep gouges into the serpent's hide. But Mythal's magic sapped Andril's strength and stole her knowledge of how to find the void. After this, the great hunter could never make her way back to the abyss, and peace returned. Translated from ancient elven writing found in the Arbor Wilds, source unverified. Oh my gosh. So the war, potentially, was one that Andril started. Gillenon's potential lover. Andril went in, instigated something with the Forgotten Ones. Who we do have the name of at least one of them now, right? He's the archivist entity that Balara is keeping in her room. And Andril goes in, starts crap, and... they have to fight a war to seal the blight after she brings it back and keep the Forgotten Ones at bay. but why would then, if like June did craft this armor for her, like why would you do that, right? And Mythal is the one. It doesn't say dragon. It doesn't say she turns into a dragon. It says a great serpent, which again, in lore where you would have a dragon, you could potentially have the differences there be like a slight mistranslation. You know what I mean? Interesting. It's so cool to see these threads that you've seen floating around for like the past 10 years, that you're like, maybe this connects, and like we're starting to see more and more like the actual connections coming together. Oh, this is so fun. It does not say what happened to Mythal in this one, which in their version of the story, it's that Mythal turned into a dragon afterwards, as I think what they said. As I'm looking at other things, this pops up. Vir Durthara. Vir Durthara was the name of the library that we found in Inquisition in Trespasser, the DLC. Okay, for some reason my computer likes to go dark even with the game active, and it turned off the recordings, but luckily, it's really obvious when that happens. I was looking though, and I was seeing something about when the Forbidden Ones were exiled, which were the four spirits that apparently they left their mortal form behind. They took a spirit form, is what it said, and left to go where the earth could not reach them during their time, the Evanuris, during the time of greatest need of the Elven people. And so they banish the Forbidden Ones from ever setting foot anywhere near in the Elven lands or anything. But they're still a threat, so the Elven gods are like, you still need us to keep them safe from you, but the Forgotten Ones are the ones that are apparently these entities within the void, whatever it is. But here's the thing, apparently I have been incorrect on Durthamin's guide. I thought it was an owl, and it is actually two ravens. And I remember the Raven story, but for some reason I thought that there was something where he was associated with owls too. But according to this, it's just two ravens. And I thought it was maybe an owl and a raven or something. I don't know. I just thought there was an owl in there somewhere. And maybe it was because Falandin and the dead and because apparently Falandin and Durthamin, they are twins and they cannot bear to be separated ever, is their whole thing. But this is... Where is it? This is actually in the story of Durthamin. They are the eldest children of Elgar'nan the Allfather and Mythal the Protector. The brothers were inseparable from the moment of their conception, known for their great love for each other. That is why we often speak of Falandin in one breath and Durthamin in the next, for they cannot bear to be apart, even in our tales. I'm holding my phone in front of my face. When the world was young, the gods often walked the earth, and Falandin and Durthamin were no exception. Both were delighted by the many wonders of the earth. Blah, blah, blah. Days were filled with bliss. Anyway, I guess this story isn't necessarily that important, but the story isn't necessarily itself important. It could be, I guess. But Durthamin tries to follow Falandin when Falandin takes a dying deer through... carried her to rest beyond the veil. Durthamin tried to follow and could not. He got lost, and these two ravens came out and were like, your brother has abandoned you, he no longer loves you, soon you will fade. And he says, I am not lost, and Falandin has not abandoned me. He subdues the ravens and makes them tell him, they carry him to Falandin. They were now bound in his service because he defeated them. And Falandin vows he would remain to carry all the dead to their place in the beyond, just as he did the deer, and Durthamin stayed with him, for the twins cannot bear to be apart. This makes more sense, honestly. I was thinking we were going to get a weird, sneaky Durthamin lore, cool, sneaky Durthamin lore for all these owl statues around. Maybe the problem is that when I found this story, I believe it's in Crestwood, that you can pick it up in the codex, it's one of the statuary things, and I think it was on an owl statue, but maybe it was actually a raven statue, and I don't know, but it makes sense that Andral, especially if Andral is actually likened unto Athena, right, the goddess of wisdom and war, who had an owl. which is maybe just like, you know, a tertiary relation, but like, you know, a goddess of the huntress, like you think maybe Artemis, right? But an owl, and the Hala is sacred to her, but and to Gillenon. But yeah, no, that makes more sense now that we're seeing so many Andrel statues around, if she's involved in this more deeply than the others are. Because she kind of maybe brought it onto themselves. Upholst them. He blames himself, yeah. Go with that.
Solus tried to do the right thing by warning Mythal about the other gods using the Blight, but he got her killed.
Well, it's not just that she died.
What do you mean, Tosh?
It's... Ugh. There was stuff he wanted to tell her, but he waited too long, and then she was dead. He never got to make it right. That twists you up.
That's it. There's our crime.
Doesn't really tell us anything we can use, though.
We know more than we did. That's something.
Then I guess we keep our eyes open if we come across more of these memories.
Yeah, if they were in love, and you didn't have time to say something, that would eat at you, you know? I mean, this is kind of coming together how I thought it would, right? That, like... But this is a little bit of a... It's like something happened and Mythal tried to stand up to the gods and was killed, right? But it turns out it was Solus who informed her what was going on. And so some of those memories we were seeing of him in the Fade were like... I think kind of pre-rebellion. I mean, they were like during the rebellion, but like again, it was the only thing that made him afraid was the Blight because he'd seen it before in their original war. And seen the devastation it could cause. And again, like, it's like this. One of the reasons I picked he feels guilty about it is because Solus can't not feel guilty. Like, he is just a walking guilt machine, you know. Like, if he so much as gets involved in anything, and he sees it as his fault afterwards, right? It's like he's doing the best he can with the information he has, and if something goes wrong, he blames himself, which is a very natural thing to do. But it's like, it really is, like, it's out of your hands. Like, you did not kill Mythal. You told her what you needed to do to protect her and other people, and if you hadn't have said anything, she might have been corrupted as well. At least she died herself, right? And maybe that's why Solus at that one memory when he's talking to Felasan, where he's like, at least these spirits died as they are and were not changed, right? So maybe in some ways he does think it was better. It is funny though, because at the end of Inquisition, Solus does take what's left of Mythal into himself, or like her power into himself. And I guess she does say old friend in that one, right? So I don't know. It's still up in the air. Like, obviously, I don't think we've made the decision necessarily here by being like, oh yeah, totally. You know, it's just people's opinions, you know. But that would be a really rough meeting then, because it's like, hey, can I tell you the things that I didn't tell you? Even if a friend, right? It's like, I had things I wanted to tell you, like a soulmate friend. It's like, I didn't want you to go, you know, like, and I'm sorry that this happened this way. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of their, like, lover's relationship, you know? Okay. Oh, I think... Alright, once again, I'm gonna run around and check with people, because apparently me doing these things is like me leaving and coming back. And I don't want to miss anything. I mean, I probably won't get all the ambient dialogue, but it's fun to get what I can. He enjoys it up here.
There's some very interesting valences in the ether today.
I agree. Totally. Why is hers like... It looks burnt. Because of the wisps. But it was interesting where he was like, oh, you should know better, Rook, as a Morn Watcher. And I like that it's like... Because at first I was like, what does she mean by that, you know? Even asking them like, oh, well, tell us the Dalish story is one of those things. I'm like, I think she'd know that still. But it could be a super obscure one, you know? That she maybe didn't hear, but or doesn't remember. But I like that, like there's like, it's like, you should know better than that. She's like, I'm not saying it's not possible, I'm just wondering how she did it, you know, or something like that, or why she did it, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like specifics, you know?
You're looking for something.
A nod on stick. Looks like every other stick, but this one's Hassan's. Have you seen it?
I've seen it, but you've got the wrong place. Hassan had it in the kitchen yesterday.
I looked there already.
Then the bird moved the goods. Have fun.
It's a San stick, and it's the only one he likes. Aw. Baby boy, you gotta take care of your sticks. Nah.
Coffee smells good.
Do you want a cup?
Nah, coffee messes with my guts. Smelling it's enough.
Okay. Oh boy. And these are things that Solus... Okay, so wait. No, never mind. I was like thinking of the regrets that we fought. This might be about Felasan then. Because one of the regrets was like the destruction of the pillars, which, again, I kind of want to look up because the pillars are something in Tevinter, but I thought they were like a natural formation. Oh. Old Elven writing, I believe in the Mythal Temple, but it was found in the Arbor Wilds, is so old as to be incomprehensible. There are whispers from the Well of Sorrows. Oh, yes, yeah. It's impossible to understand the entire text, but certain parts suddenly reveal a shadow of their original meaning. In this place we prepare to hunt the pillars of the earth. Their workers scurry, witless, soulless. This death will be a mercy. We will make the earth blossom with their passing. For one moment there is a vivid image of two overlapping... spheres, unknown flowers bloom inside their centers, and it fades. Oh my gosh. Is the pillars of the earth technically the Titans? Right? Like, that would make sense. Like a stone, like a foundational thing. Pillars of the earth. These aren't capital, like pillars of the earth, capital P, capital E or anything. But like, if one of Solus's regrets is the way that they treated the Titans, especially because it says their workers scurry, witless, soulless. If the dwarves were actually kind of part of a hive mind of the Titans and were simply extensions of them, or because the dwarves are technically potentially have always been separated from the Fade in some way, from like by Titan design. Maybe the Titans designed them to be this way so that they aren't anywhere near like the spirit stuff, so as to keep them to themselves and away from like the manipulations of like elf magic. Potentially the Evinuris are simply seeing the dwarves as empty, soulless entities, because they are not like them, right? It's very common when two cultures clash that it's like I think a lot of words in cultures for like in Russian or something, or in German, the word for Russian or German just means speaks gibberish, and that's a common thing. Like, that is a very common thing throughout cultures that meet, and you're like, well, they can't even talk, they're just going blah 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 blah, you know what I mean? And like, obviously that's not how it works. It's just like that's just what people feel like, it's what they think, because it's something that outside of the realm of their, like, what they're used to, But, and Solus specifically says that when he's walking around, like when he tells you in the Trespasser DLC for Inquisition, that like when he first came here and he walked around, he's like, it was like walking around with a bunch of like soulless, half-souled entities or something, like half alive entities, because they were just less than what he was used to, or like seemed less than what he was used to. So maybe they did attack the Titans, and that, oh my gosh, yeah. And he regrets deeply what they did, because the Titans guy was saying, like, our children orphaned, like, or the Pillars person was, like, saying stuff like that. And here I was thinking it was, like, soulless, but potentially it was, like, the regrets of the Titans that he heard, or something like that. Or like felt deeply or something, and that war was potentially, yeah. But again, or not maybe a war, because I think whatever it was against the Void, and I think the Void has to be separate from the Titans. I think that's a whole other thing, unless they are related somehow. The Void / Blight, whatever. If that might be related to the Titans somehow. But definitely the Pillars of the Earth, I'm 100% certain, refers to the destruction of the Titans. And that's a big regret for him. And the next one is the betrayal of Felasan, which is like, I'm gonna die. I don't know if he betrayed Felasan, or if Felasan was betrayed and Solus couldn't save him. I don't know. Like how this lore is gonna do it. And then obviously the the death of Mythal, right? The death of the Protector, right? When she dies and he feels it's his fault. What? And so the pillars, but there was something, Tevinter has something called the pillars. Worn pillars, a sketch of the pillars followed by another drawing imagining the pillars as part of a grand monument with appended notes on the subject. The remains of the structure surely predate the Sacred Blight, perhaps older. My knowledge of ancient Imperium architecture is limited. These are some similarities, but I'm uncertain of their origin. One of the miners thinks they're elven. Of course, this is based on a few carvings he found that looked sort of elfy. The pillars are unlike the ruins one sees in the Dales. Of course, these would be much older than anything found there. Yes, the Dales was of the second occupation of the elves. In Tevinter, which is close-ish to Arlathan city itself and was part of the Elvenon Empire. The pillars themselves. Interesting, because yeah, I thought they were potentially like, because Dorian says something in Inquisition about like if you're a lower mage you have to work at the ass end of the pillars or whatever, and just like doing paperwork all day or something. So I'm like, nah, like it's somewhere in Tevinter, so I thought it was maybe associated with them, but it would make sense for them to actually be elven in origin, right? Oh, Veilfire runes and the deep roads. Again, I believe this is from Trespasser. If not, it's from the Descent. Veilfire runes and the deep roads. In the light of the Veilfire, the runes seem to shift, coiling and uncoiling like snakes. A thunderous voice shatters the stillness, shouting, "Hail Mythal, educator and savior! She has struck down the pillars of the earth and rendered their demesne? Demise? Is it supposed to say demise? It might be misspelled. This word, I don't know if I'm going to show it up. It's not going to show up on the camera, I think. It's spelled DEMESNE, is apparently pronounced domain. Domain. It's spelled domain. And apparently it is a French word, which makes sense. But it is land attached to a manor and retained for the owner's use. Because labor was cheap, there was ample advantages in cultivating the domain. Law, possession of real property in one's own right. Archaic use, a region or domain. Yeah, okay. Okay. It's an old French word that means belonging to a lord. So she rendered their domain unto the people. Praise her name forever. For a moment, the scent of blood fills the air. I'm sorry, I'm like leaning in weird positions. And there is a vivid image of green vines growing and enveloping a sphere of fire. The vision grows dark, an eon seems to pass. Then the runes crackle. As if filled with an angry energy, a new vision appears. Elves collapsing caverns, sealing the deep roads with stone and magic. Terror, heart-pounding, ice-cold. As the last of the spells is cast, a voice whispers, "What the Evenurus in their greed could unleash would end us all. Let this place be forgotten. Let no one wake its anger. The people must rise before their false gods destroy them all." Oh my gosh! I should have gone over the Trespasser lore before I played this. This is crazy. Like again, though, this is stuff where I was like in the Trespasser DLC. You go to the deep roads, and I've been like pointing out bits and pieces that I remember of it and how it could connect. But obviously, at the time, I was more focused on Solus and like getting all this elven lore. We were like, what is going on with this? And then you get like this dwarven segment, and you're like, what? You know? But it's intertwined, seeing how much like the elves and the dwarves were actually apparently like super interconnected, at least in this particular area and for this particular time period. And like it didn't seem like things were going well for the dwarves. You know, it was like and that's why we have this freaking the tapestry, right? What I was saying before, where it's like in the Trespasser DLC, like you can see. Well, maybe you can't see it on the tapestry right now, but I'll try to take a picture of it. It's taken straight from the murals that you see in the Trespasser DLC, and there is an image of what looks like a stone entity, like a golem of some sort, with some sort of like central heart or energy or something being removed from it, essentially. And we do have here, there's a vivid image of green vines growing and enveloping a sphere of fire, and then it is collapsed because the Evenurus in their greed would end us all. By people, probably the Dread Wolf stuff later, right? Interesting. So there is... The pillars exist in Tevinter, which we know from Dorian. And the fact that apparently there is like 2 solid references to the worn pillar, or to the pillars, like the pillars of the earth, like as a phrase, pillars of the earth. Let me double check. Yeah, we have 2, an old elven writing that we found in the Arbor Wilds, which I think was during the Temple of Mythal excursion in Inquisition, and then you have the old Veilfire runes, which are sort of how Veilfire is similar to how the Shaper carves things into stone with lyrium, right? The Veilfire runes are essentially lyrium carved runes that hold memories. Oh my gosh, did the elves steal that from the dwarves? Oh my gosh, they probably did, because we keep thinking the Veilfire thing is an old elven, you know, like ancient thing that nobody can really do anymore. Or like, I don't know if people, yeah, the Veilfire runes, I think, I don't know if people, they are. Because you use lyrium to make runes anyway. Oh my gosh, is our entire runic, like economy based off of, like, what the elves stole from the dwarves. Because all runes are carved with lyrium, and that's why only dwarves and Tranquil can do it. Because you have to work with lyrium, and most people, it's very not, unless it's, like, made properly, you can't really interact with lyrium very well. Like, you have to, like, dilute it. For the Templars and for mages to use. If the elves wanted more power too, and the lyrium, the blood of the Titans, is what could give them that, yeah, they would take that. Maybe in order to win the war with the Forgotten Ones, who were in the Void, they stole from the Titans. Oh my gosh, I'm making things up, but you guys, I believe in this. Alright, really quick, I want to say thank you to my patrons, to all my patrons, including my Acorn tier patrons. Thank you so much, Fane, for your support. I very much appreciate it. And I want to give an extra special shout out to my Sapling tier patrons, Reese Galito, thank you so much, and Sebastian James, thank you so much. I appreciate your guys' support. And I want to give an extra super special shout out to my Forest tier patrons who have gone above and beyond in their support of me and the channel, and who I truly, honestly cannot thank enough. So thank you, Christopher, so much for your support, and thank you so much, Nightshade, for your support. I appreciate you both very much, and thank you all again for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.